In this section, we will focus on the main idea and the text structure. Let's begin with the main idea. We will follow the strategies stated in the text. Strategies to find and convey the main idea. Number one, skim first and last paragraphs. They usually introduce and conclude the central theme. Okay, so let's take a look at the first and last paragraph. First paragraph, and then the last paragraph. Okay, so this is the first paragraph. Many Americans speak with great pride about the achievement of their forefathers in establishing their nation. The tales of courage, heroism, and cunning have been told so many times that it can be difficult to separate truth from fiction. What cannot be disputed is that a relatively small group of colonies defeated one of the great superpowers of the 18th century, preparing the way for other revolutions that followed. Okay, so let's go back to our section. So we could say that the first paragraph focuses on colonists defeating um, a superpower to create their own nation. Now let's look at the last paragraph. British Prime Minister Lord North realized the war was too costly and too hard to win. It also diverted forces from other important military theaters. The war effectively ended, and in 1783, the Treaty of Paris was signed, with Britain recognizing the United States as an independent nation. Okay, so the last paragraph, we could say that states that the British Empire recognized U.S. independence through the Treaty, the Treaty of Paris. Okay, now let's identify recurring key terms. So if we read the whole text, we will find that some terms are key or very, very important and thus repeatedly used. So among those, we have colonists, British, taxes or taxation, independence, war, surrender, and of course the Treaty of Paris and maybe others, okay, that you can identify. Now, who are the main actors? So we have on the one hand the American colonists and the British Empire. Empire. Okay, then what is the main event? A war sparked, a war sparked by unfair taxation and lack of representation. And the outcome was the U.S. independence recognized by Britain. Okay, now we will combine all of these elements into a single coherent sentence. Let's try. Okay, let's start with the protagonists. The American colonists. Okay, now we will use an unrestricted clause, motivated by dissatisfaction, dissatisfaction with British taxation and lack of representation fought a successful war for independence against the British Empire. Okay, this is relevant, known as the American Revolutionary War, which started in 1775 and ended in 1883. Okay. Okay, it is also very important to mention that this war is part of a longer period known as the American Revolution. So we can use another non-restrictive clause, which was part of a longer historical process known as the American Revolution. Okay, so we have taxation, representation, American colonists, the American Revolutionary War, the British Empire, etc. Now we need to refer to the outcome. The outcome of the war was the establishment of the United States as a sovereign nation through the Treaty of Paris, which was signed in 1883. Okay, let's double check. The American colonists, motivated by dissatisfaction with British taxation and lack of representation, fought a successful war for independence against the British Empire, known as the American Revolutionary War, 1775-1883, which was part of a longer historical process known as the American Revolution. The outcome of the war was the establishment of the United States as a sovereign nation through the Treaty of Paris, which was signed in 1883. Okay, so we have, okay, war, okay. The word war maybe is overused. So let's change war here with conflict. Okay, and that's much better. And here we have a coherent main idea. I will highlight the main elements. American colonists, dissatisfaction, British taxation, that's another one. Lack of representation, war for independence, British Empire, the American Revolutionary War. Okay, the American Revolution. Okay, the United States as a sovereign nation and the Treaty of Paris. Okay. Now let's move on to text structure. Which of these best describes the text organization? The options are A, chronological order. So this is a good candidate to be the correct answer. Cause and effect, reasons, results. Okay, this is also a good candidate. Problem and solution, issues, how they were solved. Well, it was a war, so maybe not the best candidate, and mixed pattern, explain. Okay. Okay, so now we need to go to the text. Okay, to scan it, many Americans speak. Okay, so this was about the colonists defeating a superpower. Many citizens of the 13 British colonies along the east coast of North America were either descendants of religious objectors or settlers seeking a new beginning. They believed in their ability to build the communities they wanted. After the 7 Years' War, okay, the British government tried to impose trade restrictions and failed to recognize the contribution made by the colonists in the battles fought in America against the French. Okay, so no chronology here. The colonists' response was not limited to complaints. They turned to smuggling. Okay, so this is a cause. Now this is a consequence. Uh, Only British ships were allowed to carry goods to America, so smuggling became an early way to avoid taxes and government rules. In 1765, the British Parliament passed the Stamp Act requiring tax payment on newspapers and legal documents. The colonies saw this as evidence that the London government was trying to pick their pockets. Okay, so we start seeing years here. In 1770, further taxes were imposed. Then Boston again was the scene of anti-British activity in 1773. Okay, then we move on to 1775. Okay, so all of this happens there. Then we move on to the late 1770s, 1781, 1783. So I would say it's mostly chronological. Mm, okay. Okay, so let me double check this. Yeah, so I would say it's mostly chronological. So we're going to highlight it. How can you tell what evidence from the text supports your choice? Okay, the text structure is mostly chronological. Okay, then most paragraphs explicitly show the years in which the events took place. Okay, and maybe some more explicit evidence. 1770, no, 1765, that's paragraph 3, and then the final paragraph. Okay, good. Starting in 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Paragraph 4 mentions events occurring in 1765. The following paragraphs narrate the events that took place in the following years. Finally, the last paragraph concludes with the Treaty of Paris, which took place in 1883, okay, so let's make this more coherent. The text structure is mostly chronological. Most paragraphs explicitly show the years in which the events took place. Paragraph 4 mentions events occurring in 1765. The following paragraphs narrate the events that took place in the following years. Okay, took place, no, that happened in the following years. Finally, the last paragraph concludes with the Treaty of Paris, which took place in 1883. Okay, so maybe here, celebrated. Yeah, this is not to repeat the same words in the answer. Most paragraphs explicitly show the years in which the events took place. Paragraph 4 mentions the events occurring. Okay. Okay, this is an example, so we will use for instance. Paragraph 4. Okay, and let's give some continuity between the first sentence and the second one. The text structure is mostly chronological. This is evidenced by most paragraphs explicitly showing the years in which the events took place. For instance, paragraph 4 mentions events occurring in 1765. The following paragraphs narrate. Okay, so these are more examples. So let's include a connector of addition. Furthermore, the following paragraphs narrate the events that happened in the following years. Finally, the last paragraph concludes with the Treaty of Paris celebrated in 1883. Okay, the events, okay, no. The following paragraphs narrate the events that happened in the following years. No, narrate how the conflict escalated in the following years. Finally, the last paragraph concludes with the Treaty of Paris celebrated in 1883. Okay, and here I will add an unrestricted clause focusing on uh, on the tensions that started in 1775. Finally, the last paragraph concludes with the Treaty of Paris celebrated in 1883. Okay, so let me double check it. The text structure is mostly chronological. This is evidenced by most paragraphs explicitly showing the years in which the events took place. For instance, paragraph 4 mentions events occurring in 1765. Okay, so the word event here is repeated. Okay, so let me move this here and close this. Explicitly showing the years in which the events took place. For instance, paragraph 4 mentions, okay, so I will look for a synonym for events. Events, synonym. Circumstance, episode, incident. Okay, incidents. That's the one that I like. Incidents occurring in 1765. Furthermore, the following paragraphs narrate how the okay. Okay, this is a good answer. The text structure is mostly chronological. This is evidenced by most paragraphs explicitly showing the years in which the events took place. For instance, paragraph 4 mentions incidents occurring in 1765. Furthermore, the following paragraphs narrate how the conflict escalated in the following years, focusing on the tensions that started in 1775. Finally, the last paragraph concludes with the Treaty of Paris celebrated in 1883. How could you visualize these events with a flowchart, timeline, or diagram? Okay, of course, we can use a timeline here. Okay, let's include some of these incidents. Okay, so I will just copy this, paste it here. Okay, so that's one. Okay, I'll just do it like this for the sake of time. I will do it in CMap tools, but for the sake of time, I will just use arrows. Okay, then mhm. Okay, so further taxes uh, and the Boston Massacre. That's 1770. Okay, then 1773. Okay, let's see, board a British ship and threw its cargo into the sea. Okay, so that's 1773. That is called the Boston Tea Party. Okay, so what do we have next? Okay, 1775. Okay, so these are the battles of Concord and Lexington. Battles of Lexington and Concord. That's 1775. Okay, then 17. Okay, late 1770s. We could say more battles fought. Okay, then 1781. Okay, just realized that I made a mistake here. This is not 1883, it's 1783. Sorry about that. Okay, then 1781. Mhm. Okay, Cornwallis surrendered. And then, okay, 1783, the Treaty of Paris. Okay, and there we have a timeline that clearly indicates that the structure of this text is chronological. In the next video, we will deal with relationships and connections and facts and opinions. So stay tuned.